We have a grand guest. He stands 6 feet 8 inches tall, 322 pounds. He's coming off an impressive NFL regular season debut. We're of course talking about Chargers rookie right tackle Joe Alt. For months, Joe, your dad, your teammates were telling you about the NFL, what it's like, what that moment was like. What was that moment like for you when the national anthem's playing and you know it's go time for the next 60 minutes?
Yeah, I mean it was awesome. I think the thing that hit me the most is just kind of those pregame introductions. We didn't have that in college, so being able to run out, really kind of your first experience was amazing. And then being able to be surrounded by, especially the line group, just the guys who've helped me so much so far throughout training camp and throughout OTAs, being able to get me to that point. I mean, I'm just so appreciative of the guys around me. Being able to do that to be my opening day.
Hey, Joe, I kind of have like a two-part question, but what was it like preparing for your first NFL game in the regular season? Big rivalry game against the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sure a lot of people reminded you, hey, you're going to face Maxx Crosby and Christian Wilkins. It's going to be a lot of big-time players there. Are you ready? And then after that game, what did you learn about yourself, and what was the feedback like? Because I felt a lot of people were very impressed with your performance for a rookie and making a debut against the players like that.
Yeah, I try to take the same approach I've taken, the majority of my college career, but obviously I had to amp it up because it's a different level, and I know that. So the big thing for me is film. I'm a huge film guy. I love to prepare that way. I don't feel prepared if I don't watch enough film. So really hitting the film room, watching, looks, blitzes, specific one-on-one guys you're going to go up against. And then, in practice, I was really appreciative to get a lot of great scout looks. Guys really pushed me and gave me looks that I was going to see in game and just allowed me to kind of transform what I did in the week preparing and, into the game. And that was huge. And then, going out there and doing it was obviously great. I really couldn't have done it without the guys around me. I got a lot of help guys, giving me confidence and allowing me to, go out there and play my best. And then, afterwards, just, there's always work to be done. Go back and watch the film. There's things I see. There's things especially that I got to work on. I got to fix going into game two. And it's just, that's kind of the thing, my goal every week is just to get a little better, go back, watch the film, see what I did well, continue to work on those things and keep them going well. And then the things I didn't do so well, I got to improve and got to go back to, watching the film, breaking it down and getting better at those things.
Yeah, Joe, I'm sure you're thinking about week 2 and moving on to Carolina. You don't want to, get too caught up in the moment. And obviously, it was a great debut by you. I'm not sure how much you pay attention to the outside noise or people in the media or social media, but it seems like you get the right approach. And one thing, I'm sure it must have helped. And I'm going to ask you right now, but training and working daily with guys like Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Thule, Bud Dupree. How much does that help you for that matchup a week ago, and I'm sure many matches to come in your career?
Yeah, it was incredibly helpful. Those guys pushed me so hard in practice and gave me that transition of speed from college to NFL and getting used to, guys who are mature and play the game at such a high level, being able to go up against those guys and, make mistakes in practice and learn from those in training camp, and then being able to go in the game and just have that much more, plays under my belt at that speed, even though it wasn't in game, but like those practice reps, they pushed me and it allowed me to, get better throughout training camp and be able to go out there and, be prepared for that first game. And I'm so appreciative of those guys, taking that time to push me and make me better in practice.
Joe, truly, how tough was that transition from going to from left to right? You have been a left tackle your whole career at Notre Dame. How tough was it? And did you seek any advice or did you hire a coach, or how were you able to make that transition?
Yeah, no, I seeked a lot of advice because that was something that I was, was foreign to me. I didn't know the right side. I didn't know like how to transition. So I seeked a lot of advice with guys who'd played, swing spots, transition from left to right or right to left, whatever it was. And I think the biggest, takeaway I got from a former player back home was, go join the left side and then immediately go do on the right side and just try to get your mind to flip and like, all right, this is the left, now this is the right, and just go do it. Because I think at first I was overthinking a little bit and I was getting in my own head about, little things that will come. And then overall, it was just really repetitions, just getting used to getting in that stance, even if it's just in my, in my house back home, just like getting in a stance, pushing out of it. Cause it's just kind of getting those, the left leg on this case now stronger. And that's your push leg versus my, the left side with my right leg. So things like that. And just repetitions was really what I had to, focus in on. And then once I got that foundation, then it was how do you use your hands? How do I, flip the things that, now keeping guys outside and the right side's different than keeping guys on the left side. So things like that, or things that really came in practice, and being able to get those reps was huge during training camp.
So you're watching a show at home, and then all of a sudden the commercial hits, and you get up and you start doing the working on the right, like if it was the right side.
Yeah, not super physical or not exhausting, but yeah, just hopping in it just to get comfortable in it, because you got to sit in that stance and be comfortable and not you want it to be something that comfortable when you're sitting down and do it. And that was kind of my goal getting into training camp, was it shouldn't be me thinking about, oh, where's my foot got to be, how do I got my weight. I wanted that to be something that was ingrained in my mind. It was a physical thing that was just normal for me. So that was a big process for me to kind of get that everything comfortable so I can move out of there efficiently.
Joe, you work closely with Alex Boone, a former player of Jim Harbaugh's with the 49ers. How much has he helped you in your career, and did he reach out to you after Sunday's game?
Yeah, he's been a huge help for me. I mean, I think being able to be in Coach Harbaugh's system and kind of understanding it, through the draft prep process, he really it worked out well for me, because that's what he was in. So he kind of taught us what Coach Harbaugh's offense was like and what he had done, the heavy run game and the power things and things like that. So like the playbook for me was really easy to transition to, because that was kind of what I was learning in his classroom studies, and then very similar to what I'm being taught on the offensive line, his approach to things. So that was a super great transition. And yeah, he's been reaching out to me nonstop, looking at things, watching the film of my games, just continue to help me hear another voice and how to get better and how to improve and things to work on. So he's been a huge help for me.
Hey, Joe, with the Jim Harbaugh, take us back to the first time meeting him. It might be maybe during the recruiting trail, I'm assuming, but how was that like? And then when now that you're working with him on a daily basis with the Chargers, does it ever surprise you how much energy the guy has and just kind of being super upbeat? I'm sure on the sideline for that week 1 game, everybody was pumped, feeding off of him. But how's that going? And kind of take us back to the first interaction you had with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, the first interaction, it's exactly who you meet is who you're going to get, and I really appreciate that. He's a real person. You get that energy, and first time I met him, I was like, he really loves football, and he loves the offensive line. You feel that, and it doesn't change once you get here. He loves the offensive line, loves football. He's out there. He's in it with us, and he's just pushing us to get better, and you just feel like he's with you. He's not really coaching you. He's with you, trying to make the team better, trying to have the team come along, and it's helped us a ton as a group, coming together and, working each and every day.
And now that I think about it, obviously your dad played in the NFL as a tackle, great years with the Kansas City Chiefs, but how big was he to help you from that transition left to right? And just, I'm sure overall in your growing up, playing football with your dad, he's helped you out to be a better tackle. But, did you really lean on him during those past few months to learn a new position?
100%, just because he has that experience too, being around guys. He didn't have to do it in his career, but guys he was around who had to switch sides, and he had the knowledge too of what guys had to go through. So I lean on him heavily for that, and the kind of the experience he had with other guys, and especially the mental side of things. Understanding that it's a different side of the ball, but at the end of the day, you got to perform, and it's the same thing. It's football, and you got to do whatever it takes to get the job done. So get yourself as comfortable as you possibly can, and then when you go out there and play, you got to let your mind go and just play and react. And that was the big thing I took from him. And he's just constantly working on my mental side of things now. And that's the biggest help for me.
Did you ever strongly consider going to your dad's school, Iowa, or was it all Notre Dame? Maybe it was Michigan for a bit when you're, thinking about where to go to school, but what was that like? And did your dad push you to go to Iowa?
Yeah, so my recruitment process in high school is a little different. I was a tight end in high school, so I was transitioning to tackle. So I actually didn't pick up a Michigan offer. So it was really between Iowa and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame came on towards the end of my recruitment, and I just kind of fell in love with both the university, the coaching staff, the area, and just kind of was a no-brainer for me in the end. But, Iowa was definitely a heavy favorite in there for a while as well. It was a tough decision, but ended up choosing the Fighting Irish.
What was it like playing for Coach Freeman? And I always see him on the sideline with the crisp hairline, a beautiful haircut. I don't know if you ever decided to get a haircut from Freeman's barber, but how was it playing?
Julio,
playing
my boy Julio.
Julio
I
from
love
out
Julio.
there in South Bend. So I don't know if is that the thing for the team, talking about his haircut? Or I'm just very curious because it was a great haircut, Joe. I know I'm kind of giving you a random question, but just playing for Freeman, how's that go? How was that for you?
No, it's not a random question. Julio's still in the building. Julio's still giving the haircuts. I never went to Julio. I'm a very simple guy. Actually, in college, my sister cut my hair. I'm not. I don't spend money on my haircuts. So, but Coach Freeman, he loves his players, and it's very obvious. And that was the big thing for me. He wants success for you individually, and then for the team. And he's really behind you in everything you do and wanting you to improve. And I have a deep respect for Coach Freeman and what he's done with that organization.
So, a little bit about you, Joe. Obviously, I read up that you're a mechanical engineering major. Just how difficult was that keeping up with your with your classes during the season? I mean, obviously you're a smart guy and everything, but what was it like kind of going through that? And then what do you intend to do with that? Obviously, in 15 or 20 years down the line after you decide to hang up your cleats.
Yeah, I'm definitely not done with the degree yet, and I'm going to go back and finish that. I put a lot of hard work into that, and the biggest thing that major taught me was time management, and I think it's huge for both football and school, and just a life thing you have to have, and it really forced me to make sure I was a big scheduler, big planner guy, and that's really what it kind of developed for me is having that plan and being able to set it up because there's a lot of stress on football, and then there was still that stress in school too, and it was a hard major, so it really allowed me to create a plan, stick to it. I think that kind of comes back to my preparation thing when it comes to game week is just how do I prepare this week to both get my schoolwork done and then also prepare for an opponent in football. So it allowed me to kind of grow that skill both in the classroom and on the field. And it really helped me, I think, transition into the NFL, being able to prepare properly for games.
Is there anything you want to do with it in the future?
Yeah, I've always been a hands-on guy. That's kind of the reason why I went into mechanical engineering. I love working with my hands and being really into projects. So I'd love to do, work in the private security world. That's kind of my dream, kind of not necessarily an inventor, but just working on, and I wouldn't say inventing, but making things better. I've always had an interest in the military. I come from a military family background. So working with the military to help, invent and create and make better things for the military, not people who are on the ground. So that's kind of where my thought process was with the mechanical engineering major.
So Joe Alt's going to start his own company, and he's going to do stuff like that and help the military out and build them stuff. So that's going to be that's definitely awesome. Joe, transitioning a little bit to food. I remember I saw a really cool commercial with you during the draft process about the Chipotle. You did a commercial for them. Is that still your go-to steak, chicken, extra white rice, tomato salsa, roasted chili corn salsa, sour cream, and tomatillo red chili sauce? Is that it, or have you added something to the order?
That is my go-to for sure. That's when when I break down, I'm heading there, I'm going there. But I did just see, I think they got the brisket back and a quesadilla.
Ooh.
Might have to give that a shot. That sounds pretty good. But no, that is my go-to order. But might have to mix in that quesadilla here coming up.
Speaking of which, has Justin Herbert invited you to? Have you tried the brisket that Justin Herbert makes? That's something very famous of years past. Has he invited you over, or how's that been?
Yeah, we haven't had that yet, but I know it's in the works, and looking forward to trying it because I had a little bit of smoking in my background when I was growing up as a kid.
Ooh.
So I do feel like I have a little bit of knowledge in that realm. So I'm curious to try it.
Do you ever get amazed watching Justin on the field? Like, I mean, obviously you're blocking and you're doing all that, but is there ever a moment where you're like, oh wow, okay, like, or some of the stuff that he's done, whether it's obviously in practice because you've only had one game with him.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And in practice, you don't really notice it because you're focused on your assignment, and especially in the film room afterwards, you kind of watch it. I watch myself, watch the O-line, and I always have to take a look at like what he's seeing and like just kind of from his eyes and his ability to throw the ball and find guys and make reads is just incredibly impressive. I played quarterback for growing up as a kid, obviously not nearly at the level that Justin's playing it at, but being able to watch him make these reads and throw this ball, it's the most impressive thing I've ever seen. It's so great to have a guy back there who has that ability, but also that leadership quality and that competitive edge that he has. You couldn't ask for a better leader in the huddle to go out and lead the Chargers offense. It's so great to have him.
Who did you like watching? You being a former quarterback, who did you like watching as a quarterback growing up?
Yeah, I watched a whole bunch of quarterbacks. My problem was I didn't really have the arm strength, so I kind of knew I had the arm strength. I don't know if I had the arm accuracy, I'll say. So growing up, I always knew that I'd be making a switch to put my hand on the ground. So it's just kind of how long I was more of a running quarterback. But I wore 16 as a kid. My dad played with Joe Montana. So I was always, talking to my dad about that and, dreaming of that as a kid. But eventually I always knew I was going to put my hand in the dirt and play an offensive line. So that was, hey, it's a dream now, but we know in reality it won't be that in the future.
Gilbert, and he tried slowly because he went from quarterback to tight end, and he's like still fighting it. And ultimately he ends up at right tackle. Isn't that right, Joe?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Joe, last one for us. How did it feel going on stage with Justin, Rashawn, and some of your other teammates, Cameron Dicker, at the Zach Bryan concert? We saw videos of that. Just how much fun was that? That was kind of your introduction to LA, huh? Or to being with your teammates.
You're exactly right. Zach Bryan has been my favorite country artist for a long time. So I was planning to go to that concert regardless. Guys were going, and we kind of got a group together, and being able to go on stage and that kind of the Welcome to LA experience was unreal. I mean, that's pretty much, I kind of all my buddies saw it from college, and like, no way you got to go on, because that was always like our dream joke in college. Like, one day we're gonna be on stage with them, and being able to go and do that was one of the coolest experiences. And being able to have the be like welcome to LA moment was amazing.
And an extra awesome. One more, Joe. Yeah. Who are some of your favorite country artists? Besides Zach Bryan.
Yeah, I'm a Zach Bryan, Riley Green, Tyler Childers. Was an Eric Church fan. He kind of has worked his way out now, but I loved his music growing up. Was always listening to him, and then those are kind of my main go-tos. But yeah, I'm a country artist fan through and through. That's what I listen to.
I'm more of a Luke Combs kind of guy. Like that's
okay. I forgot about Luke Combs. Luke Combs is also one of my. I don't know why I forgot his name, but yeah, went to his concert as well. That's amazing as well. No, Luke Combs is great.
You went to his concert in LA?
Not in LA. No, I went during college at Soldier Field when I was close to South Bend. So I went with some of my buddies there. So that was a really cool experience too.
Yeah, he does a great job. But is that what you listen to? Like you get the headphones on? Is that what you're listening to? Like when you're out in the field getting hyped?
Yeah, that's the opposite for me. I'm trying not to get hyped. I'm trying to keep myself just calm and cool. So I'm always listening to just some slow country. I know I'm different in that way, but it's just how I kind of keep my mind, just settled and ready for the game. It's just keeping myself just kind of cool. So that's how I always do it. So yeah, I'm listening to country. I'm not really getting amped up usually.
No, and I mean that's just the way. That's the way you do it, and you got to love that. But Joe, we appreciate you so much. One of my buddies that still covers Notre Dame out there told me that he coined the nickname Control Alt D Cleat your freshman year. That was his nickname for you. Yeah. That's a great one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Joe, thank you so much. We appreciate it. That is Joe Alt, everybody. We appreciate him joining us. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, guys.